Hey, welcome back. And got a nice little view today. Today's video, I wanted to talk about, I guess it's more of a serious topic. Been wanting to do this video for a little while, but I've been holding off because I don't know, there's lots to say about it, and it's not always clear path to sharing words about certain things, and especially this topic of suicide today. And my goal today is not so much to be whether it's right or wrong, or I don't know, it feels like there's even shame in that, whether something's right or wrong. But my intention today is more so to be able to express myself and find clarity, but also to be able to process it and share it and open it up. Because I know it's not easy to talk about sometimes, especially when you're in it. And for myself, the thought, I guess, it crosses your mind when you get stuck in certain situations and think there's no way out, and you think that would be a good route to get out of pain or being stuck or something, and you don't want to be in. Um, and it's trippy too, because in a way you almost know or hope that suffering will end and you'll be better off. Um, but I wanted to just talk about it and see what came up on this video. Felt like it was time to at least start it. If this video makes it online, then felt good about it afterwards. Otherwise, I'll look to do like a part 2 or a different video. But I wanted to be able to start it at least today. Felt like I was delaying it more than my intention was. Really, I wanted to be able to talk about it on the video, because I know it's definitely a topic, and been a topic in my life, I guess, for quite some time. I mean, there's definitely some times in the past that thought about it, wasn't too serious about thinking about it, I guess. But as of recent in my life, it's a different perspective, and I'll give my perspective because that's where I'm coming from. Having some experience in life and going through and living a lot of life and a lot of experiences, it's a different approach, because when you're young, you're all in on stuff and you haven't lived a lot of life, or at least I didn't in my scenario. And sometimes you're like, oh, well, you just kind of thought crosses your mind, but really you have an overwhelming, like, well, I really want to go experience this. I want to go experience this. I don't want to end it yet. And now being older, it's a different idea thinking about it. And I'll even go into some of the stuff. It was obviously is even hard to think about, or really think about, or even talk about, let alone even now as I'm doing this on video, being observed in a way. It's definitely a different approach. I recommend trying it yourself and videoing yourself. It's kind of like a journal, I guess, entry instead of voice notes getting on the video. But in saying that, after I have lived and a lot of experiences, I feel like I've lived a lot of life, and feel like I've got to experience a lot of things, and in some ways it's a different way of feeling it, because you can feel like, oh, now, or I feel in some senses in this past year and past 2 years, or even past couple months, where I'm like, there's not really anything else that I need to experience or feel like I really want to experience. And it's a different way to think about it when it sometimes hits you hard in the harder times, um, because you don't have that major pull to get back up and be like, oh, well, I want to go do this, even though I feel this way, or going to try to figure it out. And meaning, for example, like, like I've surfed all the waves that I've wanted to surf for the most part. I mean, sure, there's more. I would love to go surf some other ones I haven't surfed, but or even, live life and relationships that I've taken to the extent that I have, and marriages, and buying things or experiencing the world and travel. And I've done a lot of it, and it's been amazing. It's been highs and lows. There's definitely some gnarly moments in all of that too. In my life, you think it's going to be all perfect no matter where you go, but it's always hills and valleys, ups and downs with all of it. And these past couple years, I'll be brutally honest, some of the rehab and the pain that I was having with my body, and physical pain, and from all the injuries that I had growing up, from all the sports, from surfing, from riding quads and motorcycles in the desert, and the short end of it, is I just always had back pain, and thought I was working out good or stretching or doing certain things to help keep it, but looking back on it now, I could see little things I never really resolved, the functional way of moving, or certain injuries, and it's just like they kind of like they healed, but they may have healed off, and then I just kind of kept going. And now in this time in my life, those injuries, they started catching up with me, and I started getting the weird numbness and the tingling in the hand, and then I even felt it go up the left side of the head. At night, I would find my arm completely numb, like I would wake up, and then I felt my leg kind of feeling off, like when I would walk, it was like it wouldn't respond the way, and I thought, wow, I might be having a stroke sometime soon, or if not now. And it was lasted for a little bit, and I kind of thought, well, maybe it'll go away, and I tried to do some stretches and workouts, but it wouldn't go away. I started getting gnarly knots and pain in my back, and this was about 7 years ago, and it wouldn't fully go away, and I tried to do the things that I thought I knew how to do to fix it, but it seemed like it was like a lot more serious, especially with the numbness on the left side of the head and the face. And I thought, maybe it's my time. Maybe, I've lived all the life that I need to live, and not much else here for me. And I thought, well, I'm gonna see if I can resolve it. And the one thing that was holding me here, I will share, is my son. And I'm starting to tear up a little bit, but like, I want to share this. So like, I thought about my son a lot, because I was like, well, I don't want my son, I want to see my son live life. I want to see him enjoy and do all the things he wants to do, and I want to be here and support him in it, and I want to live it with him, and I want to enjoy moments with him still. And I don't want that to be over, and that's what held me here, more so than things I wanted to do. And I mean, that my son, just the connection and the friendship that him and I have is phenomenal. It's beyond what I could have ever dreamt of. Just we've become friends, and he's just been such a light in my life. He's taught me a lot about unconditional love, and really me wanting to be a dad and stepping up, trying to figure it out, even though I didn't know how. And I was like, I'm just gonna figure it out. But that's what kept me going. So trying to make it a little bit short of this story, but like, went through a lot of doctors and scans and everything, and they couldn't really find anything. And I've been going through this for about 6 years, almost 7 years now, and they still don't know fully what's going on. They did notice some scoliosis and some things off in my spine and a couple of disc bulges, and they think there might be some nerves or fascia or things off in there. I went the alternative route also. I figured I'd do it all, and so did tons of rolfing, acupuncture, body work, massage, workouts, started doing something called functional patterns, which I will share on another video, which I feel like has been really helping. And functionally, the way you move based on your gait, your stand, walk, run, and throw, I think it is, but balancing those muscles in the body so the spine can come back. And I feel like that's been helping. But for the past 6 years, been trying it. There's the pain and the aches, sometimes laying in bed for a week or two, not able to move, and trying to figure out how to do that on your own. Sometimes I had help, but nobody really knows when you're in that kind of pain. And then also the pinching and chest pain and feeling like your heart is fluttering or going to stop or beating too much, or even the breathing. My breathing doesn't happen normally. It's like I have to figure out how to get a breath over on the left-hand side, and sometimes I don't fully, and it's every moment. And when you're, even as I talk, trying to figure out how to get breath, and you know, it gets to you, the pain, and especially anything to do with your breath or every moment type stuff. It gets to you, and it messes with your head, your emotions, your life, your things that you normally would be able to do every day that can make you happy. And sometimes it would hurt so bad I just have to go lay down, and it would kind of help, but not really help. It almost like sometimes got worse when I lay down, because it felt like I was like, you know, it was wanting to relax, but it was like pulling it more. But at the same time, I couldn't fully stand or go do the things that I would like to do for like a hike or a walk or go on the beach or swim. And I completely stopped surfing, which is my love of, you know, that I've been doing all my life. That was like the main sport that I always held to. Of course, I loved all types of other sports that I would do growing up, but surfing, I found the connection with the water and the floating in the water and just being with nature and catching a wave and letting everything fades away so quickly, and you're in the moment dancing with the wave, and just, it's like you can get your grunt out, but you can also get your cruisiness out, like your flow, and you get in, and it's like you leave the world behind on the land, and you're just floating in the water, and you're in that transitional in between the ocean and the land, and the energy in the waves has something, I guess. You know, that's why we all like to go to the shore, or maybe not all, but a good amount of people. But I haven't been able to do that, because when I do try to paddle, it's hard for me to breathe. Sometimes I get nauseous in my stomach from a nerve pinching. It's really weird. And I found out later it's a lot from the paddling. A lot of surfers have it with pinches up in their thoracic. And I have some disc bulges there and some spine that's moved over. And I know, you know, I'm not alone with that, but it's kind of a bummer, because then you're like, oh, this whole time, this thing that fed me and I felt so good with, it was not the best thing for my body to be upright and paddling, or falling. Sometimes when you fall, I had a lot of body workers that were like, man, you got like you've been in 100 car accidents, just whiplashes after whiplash. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. I didn't even think about that. But every time you fall, sometimes you're not ready for it. And and it's like whiplash, and you get the like sore neck the next day. But you know, it goes away rather easily when you're young. As you get older, man, it's doesn't heal like it used to. Even though I do a lot of regenerative type stuff to try to keep it going, which I will keep up on. But you know, after 6 or 7 years, and especially this last year or two, I hit some gnarly moments, and it wasn't just one time, multiple times where I thought my life's over. Can't surf, I can't barely do the things I want to do, and it's so fickle. Sometimes I just can't even sleep the whole night. Sometimes I do get sleep, and then sometimes I can push through a workout. Like even when I do these workouts that I do, I have to push through the pain, thinking that it's helping my body, and I know it is, but it's not ever easy to try to get the body to align to come back. And it has helped. I've been doing for about a year and a half, 2 years almost now, and a lot of ways I've been able to go on hikes and do a lot more stuff, and I got rid of some of the soreness that I had in my lower back, but I still have the breathing, chest, weird pinching thing, and the doctors can't figure it out. I know there's, you know, I've been looking at a lot of videos, and I know a lot of people, you know, they talk about the zebra or certain things that they, you know, are trying to figure out what's going on with the body, and they just can't find out. And you know, there's a couple options that I'm still going to explore, because I ultimately, when I was going through some of those dark times, it definitely, I'll tell you, when you're working a lot, especially if your work is requiring you to work long hours, and if you don't get sleep the night before and you still have to go work a long hour multiple days, 5, 6 days a week, man, that definitely puts the pressure and the stressors on. I remember last company I was working for had me working 10 to 11, 12-hour days, up early, out late, and you don't have much time for working out or enjoying or releasing or balancing. And I was like, man, I would rather die than continue at this work. And I was getting chest pains. I felt like I was going to pass out at work and faint at work multiple times. I almost did one time. And when I almost passed out at work, I thought, oh, it's over. It's finally over. Maybe I'm going to go now. I'm dying now. And I was like, okay, I'm good with it. Like, get me out of here. But recently, so now what I wanted to share, there was a couple nights where I was so scared to call the hotline. I knew it was there, like when you search, you know, suicide hotline on Google, it gives you the number. I think it's 611. And I even a couple times at night, I was like I'm scared. It's hard to even say now, but I was like, I'm scared that I'm gonna be so stressed out and just want to escape that I'm actually gonna go kill myself, and not really want to, but it's just because I was stressed out or not getting balance that I really needed. And I almost called like 3 times the hotline, because I never called before. I didn't know, do they really help? Do they just send police to you? Like, I didn't want that. And so I didn't call. As soon as I pulled up the number and like was getting ready to call, I just started breaking down in tears and started just, I guess, a lot of emotions were able to come up that hadn't for a long time, that deep. Those ones that are, you really like, wow, like I'm not just thinking about this, like I'm really want this. And I want to be out of this pain. Like I've lived a long life. I'm done. And those feelings, when you feel it in your body, not just in your head and your thought, like thinking like, oh, maybe I'll be better off like that, or joking around, but like really, really, thinking about it. And of course, I was thinking of my son, and I was like, man, I don't want him to have a dad that kills himself. That's ridiculous, because then he's gonna want to go do it, and I didn't want him to do it. But I didn't know what else to do. I felt stuck. I didn't know how to heal this, didn't know how to get help or support with it. And I guess in many ways, just feeling alone. And I didn't like look up any videos. I didn't really even think about that. I didn't think about having somebody to talk to. I had mentioned it to a friend of mine, but at the same time, he's got a busy life, and I didn't want to burden him with, we're 5,000 miles away, and I know he's got kids, and I mentioned it because I was like, I had to, like, just let it out. And, he was supportive and helping, but at the same time, he's not, I didn't want him to feel like he had to save me or be a therapist. I was more so just sharing it to share it. But after I shared it, I was like, oh shoot, I don't know if I want to share it with anybody else, because this is my thing, it's, and I know that it also, talking about it, it brings it up in other people, which I'm finding now, because if you're not talking about it and somebody else starts talking about it, you're in your mind, you're like, oh shoot, they're talking about it and I don't want to talk about it. And it brings up all the emotions in them. And I'm sure there's a bunch of videos out there. Maybe I still haven't, I did actually look a little bit. I saw a couple, but I do know that just being able to express what you're feeling and know that other people are going through it, you're like, oh, this is a human thing. Like, this is a thought that definitely enters everybody's minds. And it's to what extent, that person really, really starts taking it further and in their embodiment. And I was able to take a leave from work and for a few months, and just that in itself, where I could either find sleep. If I needed to sleep in, I'd just sleep as long as my body would sleep. And after 2 weeks, I did want to mention before I mention this, I called the hotline, and I was like, I have to call, I need help, I need support. And it was almost easier talking to a stranger than to a best friend for mine. That's what I felt like. And I talked to them. They were super nice on the phone. She was just listening and asking some questions. I think, trying to find out the seriousness, if I was actually getting ready to do it or had plans or was doing it at that moment. And, I wasn't. I was just thinking about how I might do it. But I was laying in bed and talked to the girl for a little while, and she set me up with a guy who met me later that day in a park nearby in Manoa. They had here where I'm at, and he was able to just ask me a bunch of questions. I was able to talk to him and pour my heart out, and obviously cry a lot. And in some sense, it sucked because I was here with a stranger crying, but in some sense it felt good to let that emotion out. And there was a lot of emotions, a lot of things that I hadn't talked about or shared for a long time, and things that I held on to, and it was like just pouring out. And I feel like the next 2 weeks I was just crying. So in some sense, I will say it's just opening up and letting that stuff out, felt a lot better. But I will say, it's like, even though I felt a little better in release and I was able to get sleep when I needed it or wasn't as stressed out with work stuff, I felt a lot better, and I started going on some hikes and just getting outside. That's why I love to do these videos on some of the hikes that I do and outside in the forest. It's just, for the most part, quiet, and you're in nature, obviously, and feels good. And I was feeling better, but there was still the underlining, like, oh, well, you know, what about finances, run out of money, pay bills? Like, I still don't feel like I'm living my purpose or my passion in life, where I'm excited to get up to do. I used to have that with surfing, be like, oh, I can't wait that there's a new swell, gonna go check the spots, gonna go surf. And there's still a lot of me that still is, I guess, hold some depression from that, or grief, like losing that, because I don't know if I'll ever be able to get back to that, or even if I need to, I don't know. But still figuring that out and looking for clarity and finding other things to enjoy myself with working out, or getting movement in the body and feeling good about it. So there's definitely still some stuff with that I gotta figure out, because I really want to, but I know it's not the best on the body, and I don't want my body to go back into old patterns, because I feel like it is starting to get balanced and come back a little bit. I've had some results with my spine. The CT scans were showing more space in between each one of my spines. It wasn't so compressed with the scoliosis, and so I've had improvement, and I'm hoping to have more improvement over the next 1 to 2 years, and hopefully it coming back straight and releasing whatever's pinched in there. That's my hope and my plan. And in saying, where was I? When I after, you know, I had talked with them, they, on the hotline, they were setting me up with a therapist or a psychologist if I wanted to, and be able to talk about it further and have some help, which felt good to be a little supported in that. And I started realizing, like, wow, I guess I never really asked for help. I thought I could do it fully on my own, and there's people that do help, and I didn't want to burden my friends. I'm sure even a lot of my friends don't even know about how dark and deep I went, and still, it's still always kind of there in the back of my mind, because of the survival here and finances. And it's like, I don't find myself as motivated to work and hustle. It's like, I just want to be happy, and I want to do what I love, and whatever I make from that that's what I'm fine with. Like, I'll get by, you know, planning to get by, and hopefully get by, and move somewhere cheaper, and figure out a life that's more in line with my happiness and passions, and not so revolving around money. And that's partly why these videos. In some of my therapist sessions, and then also I joined a men's group, the Mankind Project, and there we were really talking about finding a purpose now with where I'm at in life, and a new purpose and new ideas and things that excite me and make me happy. And these are one of them, sharing and being able to help other people, and feel like I'm giving back and helping out with some other real emotions in this life, I guess, that really can get a stranglehold on you. When I really after I got some of the stress away, and I got some sleep, and I got a little more clarity, I still had that feeling like, well, what am I really here for? Because I didn't fully have some things some goals and intentions that I really wanted to live out, or purpose things, passions things, that really wanted to do. I had some ideas and a lot of stuff in my journal, but I wasn't really motivated for it. But there was a point there that I wanted to share. Maybe I'll remember it later, but in getting, it's like I wanted to be able to, when I really got to that like point of feeling a little bit better, yet still having that feeling like, if it doesn't work out, then I guess that's always an option. And still sometimes, even when it's super painful or I have to lay down for a little bit, or those emotions arise a little bit more so. And like I was saying in the beginning of this video, I wanted to share, that it's not right or wrong, but it's more so I feel, better not to stuff it down anymore, thinking like, oh, that's not the right thing to do, you need to push on, like I wouldn't have liked to hear that. Like I needed to express the emotions and be able to talk about them and share them and hear them from other people that wanted to talk about them. And that's what I needed at that time. And I wanted this video to be able to just be those real emotions where you can share and maybe open up yourself if you are having those thoughts, or you're stuck in a situation, supposedly stuck, where you don't really see the pathways out. And even though I felt better by doing some of the things, and I started to bring back to life some of my old things that I love, like art or drawing, or these tribal markers from a friend of mine that makes them, and you get to adorn friends or people at events, or just at home, or even just drawing your book or your journal. I love that, the creation of just drawing lines wherever you want it to go and seeing how it comes out. And I forgot about that. It was a while. I did that way back, even before college, and then I got into graphic design and mostly worked on the computer. But nowadays, like, I'm so tired of sitting in front of the computer. It's even why I do a lot of these where I don't edit, because I don't want to sit and edit. And I'm like, the only way I'll do videos is if I can just video it all the way through and then just upload it. And just that's what it is. And maybe later down the road, if start creating it in a bigger fashion, I can hire somebody to edit. Maybe we'll do some edits down the road. But I've been sitting in the front of the computer for 25 years, and it's too much for me nowadays. And on my eyes, on my body, everything, I need to move. And I just wanted to share that. But I started doing the drawing stuff again. I ordered some markers from my friend, started drawing on my journal, and then some friends, and started falling in love back with the art form again. And I have some ideas with even some paints and some other stuff. And then I really started falling in love with hikes again and getting outside in nature. And it's great being able to do videos in nature. And I want to get back into sounds and music with some certain instruments. And then that stuff started making me feel a lot better, because I was getting some flow of some goodness coming through of what I still want to do, not just for my son, but like not just thinking about my son that's pulling me out of it, because I didn't want that pressure. It's weird. I didn't want that pressure to be on him either, because then, what happens if he needs a phase where he doesn't talk to dad for like 2 years? I don't know, I don't think that would ever happen, but like, I didn't want to be dependent on outside of me. I wanted it to be me that really wanted to live, because I felt like that ultimately felt right. It felt aligned to me. It felt like spirit flowing through me. was what I really wanted again. When I came down to it, I really, really got to that point of like, well, do I really, really want to kill myself? Like, do I want this to be over? And I was like, well, I want the pain to end, and I don't feel like there's anything else here. And I feel like that's an option that would make me feel better. And that's kind of the epiphany that I had a little bit, because when I got to that point, I was like, oh, shoot, I don't really want it to be over. I just want to feel better. I want to enjoy life. And I was like, I was just thinking that was one option, or the only option that I had. And being able to open up about it and get a little bit of support, especially from the men's group and nature and some other creative stuff that I'm doing, passionate stuff that feels good, that I'm just starting. It's like it's starting to flow through again, and I'm like, oh, like this, I'm glad I didn't go kill myself. I'm glad that I was, because I was pretty cloudy and I was pretty dark in a way. And so I wanted to be able to share that, because I know if you really are feeling like that's an option, it's an option. And I say that because it's one option, and maybe, yeah, that's the option you want to choose. Because I also had an epiphany of where if you do choose an option, like for example, thinking about suicide, I had this epiphany of like, oh wow, it's like you want this old thing to die, and you think that you have to do it this way. And in order for this old way or old thing to die, you want to feel better. That's ultimately what you're imagining, because you're like, well, I don't like this, I prefer something else, and I don't know how to get there. So I think this option might kill this, and then I'll feel better. And that's a better preference, and that's what I feel like we ultimately want. And so I want to shed light on that, because I feel like you do want to feel better by thinking that you want to kill yourself. And just that in itself, it means that there's options. Yeah, you could kill yourself, but also too, there might be some other options that maybe you would prefer rather than that. And also too, and I'll share this for example, you wanting that old way to die, there's other ways to do that without actually having to completely end it. Some examples that I started remembering and thinking about, I was like, oh, I had ceremonies and certain things energetically where I was able to let go of my old ways and my old person who I was, and then by crying and expressing and getting support, doing some of these videos, or even in my creativeness, it was like I started letting go of who I thought I was or who I had been for the last 20, 30 years. And I started moving into a new me of a lot of things that I just really loved, that made me happy. And I could feel those things starting to split. I was letting that die, so to speak, without killing myself. And I didn't think about that when I was in that dark area. And I wanted to share that in this video because, you know, if you are watching this and you are in that dark space, there's another option for you. Multiple different options, actually. And you get to choose which one you want, of course. But asking yourself the real question, like, oh, is it just that I just want a better life? Like I want to enjoy life, but I don't know how. That's where I invite you to reach out to the hotline on Google. Reach out to possibly a friend just for advice, or even a therapist if you've never had one. I've never had a therapist, so I'm not used to that. I know some people have them, and that's good, and I know sometimes it can be too much, too weird. It's all different realms of that, but I never had one. Just being able to express, having somebody listen that is holding that space, and also too, going through a lot of ceremonies. I was like, oh man, I could do another ceremony, whether it be a cacao ceremony, ecstatic dance, which I love now, by the way. Didn't really used to do that, but oh my God, moving your body and doing it in a way that you are intentionally releasing and allowing flow to happen, phenomenal. I love it now. I try to find them all over. I've been going all over to find them, where they're at, or even just in my house on my own. And the cacao, or even plant medicines, ceremonies, which are amazing too. And you let the old self die, and that's good. That's you want that. And I feel like sometimes we get caught up in, oh, I have to possibly kill myself or suicide or something to make this happen. And it's not the only way. Like, you can process it different ways. And even with mine still, even though I feel better, I haven't got rid of the physical pain fully. It feels better, but I can feel the beginning of a new pathway for me, and me bringing to life all these journal entries of things that I really love to do and make me happy, just because like I love to do them. And that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, living on purpose, and just seeing what synchronicities show up after that, and living directly in a dance with spirit, moment to moment, and see the people that come to my life. Already I've had really amazing people, more beautiful connection than I thought I could ever have. And in some ways I thought I wouldn't be able to have those connections, or love connections, or friendship connections, and I thought it was over for me when in that dark time. And now that I'm doing what I love and starting to see people show up in my life that are really amazing and beautiful just for them being who they are, I'm like, wow, the angels have my back. Spirit is guiding me. It's starting to marinate and starting to show up with some certain things, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's just simple little things here and there, and those are my appreciation meditations that I love to do now, and appreciate and be grateful for the small successes and build upon them, because I feel like it starts building momentum, and then it feels even like you can feel the energy more and more, and it's like, oh, and then it's like I feel like it creates more of it when you marinate in the goodness longer, rather than just being like, oh, that's cool, and then just moving on. That could be a whole nother video in itself. But with getting back to the whole thing with this, I wanted to share. I just wanted to put this out there, so that way maybe synchronicities would send you this video, and if you were going through some of those times now, you'd be able to feel the realness and the vulnerability that I'm sharing, because I still don't have it figured out. I don't have life fully figured out. In some ways I feel like I kind of do, and I'm like, oh, I'm getting it, but then like sometimes I'm like, fuck, I don't even know if I do. What am I doing? But I guess that's the romanticism of life, just in the unknown, and then good and bad, or so to speak, but it's all good. It starts coming your way, and you gravitate towards the things that really feel aligned and feel really good. And build more of those. But I just wanted to let you know there's not just one option. There's multiple options to that. And trying to think if there's anything else I wanted to share along the lines with this stuff, but I've been scared to like share this on a video because I haven't shared it with a lot of people, or even some of my friends, or I don't know, I just didn't want to share it, didn't want to burden somebody else. But it is kind of nice sharing it in this way, because it's like if you keep watching the video, then it's like you want to hear it, and that's for you, and hopefully it helps you, and then it helps you specifically. Rather than me feeling like I need to dump it on somebody that doesn't want to hear, like my friends. It's weird how we feel guilty for that. That's a whole nother thing. Or like, I don't want anybody else to like bear my burdens. It's my mind that I have and created and I came here for, and challenges that learning how to become more of me, and then also live a lifestyle that's really aligned with just what I want to do with the rest of my life. And it feels pretty good to be able to open up and share it. I wouldn't have been able to do this 3 months ago and share this video. It was really hard for me just to even talk to some strangers or therapists or people on the phone about this. And being able to open up now, it feels a lot better. It's not so heavy, it's not so taboo in my world, and that feels better. It's a little more balanced. So in sharing this, and I'm going to finish up the video here, I wanted to be able to let anybody know that there's other options if you really do want to do some more things here in life and share some more things. And I know we're all different. You can't compare. You came here for something specific, and you want to experience certain things in this life. And I wanted to share that another avenue that I would like to, that's been on my heart, is opening up some kind of either like, I guess, a live YouTube feed where people can join in, ask questions. I don't know how I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna have to figure out how to like see the screen and answer questions, go back and forth with that. Possibly doing some type of private or one-on-ones with people if they wanted to. I'm gonna most likely make it on a donation basis for the time, so that way if you don't have much money, you can still get help or chat with me or get hopefully some advice, and then build upon that and see what is created and comes about from that. I could feel my heart really leading towards something online, to be able to just have a space where I know, like when I was in that zone, if I knew about something like that, I know there's a couple out there already, but I know it's really the ones that you feel really connected with, and Spirit's calling you towards. So I would like to be able to start creating a zone or a space for that, and eventually turning it into an art form where you can be able to create and marinate and cry and let go of stuff, and hopefully turn it into enjoyment and play. So I have some ideas. I don't fully know what that looks like, but we'll create it together. And if you have any ideas or suggestions, feel free to leave any comments below, and we'll see if they feel good, they feel right, then we'll start doing them. And we'll look forward. We'll see about this video, whether I'm going to post it or not. Feels pretty good and complete. And we'll be sharing some other topics that I do have coming down the line on some other videos coming up soon. I've already been writing up some topics in my journal that I want to share. And then I got to start planning my next intentional communities interviews that I got. I got several that I want to go to, but I'm trying to map them out, figure out which one's the best. If you know any on those, feel free to leave any comments or share or links. Go check them out. And definitely would love to get in touch with any that would love to have me stop by and do an interview and share their community. So until the next video, enjoy all your moments. And if you gotta feel into the pain, free fall into the unknown, and even marinate in the darkness and let some tears out, it's okay. It's good. Feels good sometimes, really good, even though it hurts a little bit. So thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.